Hi there, this is Solitude from Solitude Films, and welcome to another random review. Today's random review comes from Italy, and it's Adua e la Compagnia, or Adua and her friends, or Adua and company, from 1960, directed by Antonio Pietrangeli. There's another Italian director that I might have to look into a little bit more. Sadly, he only made 13 films, as he drowned at the age of 49 while shooting a film, which just seems senseless. He started as an assistant to Visconti, and he also wrote some films, and then he directed 13 of them, this is one of them, strangely enough. This one in Venice, The Silver Lion, in 1961. And it's a wonderful film. This DVD edition actually has a little booklet with a little essay in it. I have since discovered, after buying this, that Raro Video do a Blu-ray, so I've accidentally ordered that after watching it, because it's a black and white film. It's got wonderful compositions, and I think this DVD is not a bad print, but I think the Blu-ray would make it look even better. It stars Simone, Emanuelle Riva, Sandra Milo, and Marcello Mastroianni, but the cover would suggest Mastroianni is an important figure in the film, and he is to some extent, but he's hardly the main character or anything. This is about women trying to change their lives, trying to escape their past, and whether society or men in general will actually let them do that. So we open up with the closing of a brothel in Rome, and there's a kind of a Fellini-esque parade of women of all shapes and sizes as they're closing this brothel down, and four women, including Simone Signoret, who's kind of the leader. She is Adua of the title. They are going to open a restaurant in the country. Other women are going away to work in a dairy with their husband, and other tales, but we focus in these four women who are going to go outside of Rome and open this restaurant out in the country. Sounds like a wonderful plan, but obviously when they get there, there's no electricity, there's no phone, there's no gas, so they're in a wee bit of bother. So Simone Signoret goes and meets this doctor who pretty much strikes a deal that he'll get them a license. They thought they had a license, but they didn't because they've got police records. But he will do all that for him, and he's got a lawyer, and he'll sort it out. But after a month, he wants them to use the upstairs basically as a brothel again. So you can still have the restaurant as a cover, but he wants his million lira a month, and he wants the women to go back to working as prostitutes. So because they need the license, Adua agrees to this, and the restaurant slowly kind of starts off and grows. Emanuelle Riva has a son, so she brings him to live with them. Sandra Milo's character is an ex-showgirl as well. and she always has dreams of being like on the stage, but she's the more energetic and flirtatious one. You have another girl who gets a regular customer who likes her food, because it reminds him of his mother's food. There's some cliched archetypes, but that doesn't actually matter, because you do get invested in these women pretty quickly, and you do root for them throughout the film. Mastriani appears, he gives a lift to Emanuelle Riva's character after she goes out on a bender one night, and he's a car salesman who has difficulty telling the truth. He's a bit of a snake, and he's not actually a very likeable character whatsoever. He still has the Mastriani charm, but he does tell Adua one thing, and that's not necessarily the truth. It is one of Mastriani's kind of lesser, kind of one-dimensional roles, because he is pretty much just playing a Lothario who just tells people what they want to hear at any given time. The film just moves along rather nicely. There's a wonderful kind of jazz score. Like I say, the compositions by Petrangeli are really wonderfully done. The interactions with the women as they bicker and they argue. But again, it's that trying to escape from their past. Inevitably, we have the showdown when the doctor, I'm not sure what he's a doctor of, but the doctor kind of turns up and wants them and puts pressure on them to start actually using the upstairs as a brothel, while downstairs is a restaurant, and obviously they don't want to do this. It is a Italian neo-realist film of the 50s and 60s. You could probably guess how it ends. This isn't one of those British feel-good movies of the 90s. This ends wonderfully, but also realistically. When men find out about their past, that has, ramifications and consequences of how those men then treat the women. And obviously you have this controlling doctor, essentially pimp character, and he's not in it for the good of their health. They do have that interesting character of the priest who's in the local, it says he comes from the local convent. I thought that would be a monastery, really. But he turns up and he originally just wants scraps for the pig that they're feeding up at the convent for some nefarious purpose. And he gets involved and helps out, and he's involved with Emanuelle Riva's son, who gets baptised because when he was born she was ill, and obviously the father was nowhere to be found. There's allusions kind of made about Simone Signoret, Adua, and her having a son, but again that's never really mentioned, so we kind of take that as being that didn't end well either. It's a realistic film. It doesn't glamorise their situation. Again, the kind of Fellini-esque parade of women at the start in the brothel as it's closing down, and later images of kind of older prostitutes that Adwa sees in the streets, and like she's determined not to turn into them. This isn't Pretty Woman with Julia Roberts. This is a much more realistic view, but it's got a really good script, and even though the things that happen, you could argue, are predictable and we've seen before in kind of stories about prostitutes trying to escape that life, because the characters are so engaging, because Signoret is so good as Adua, as the kind of maternal figure. It's just such a good film, so engaging, and even though Mastroianni's pretty much a scumbag, he still has that Mastroianni twinkle in his eye, so you can believe why women and the people he sells cars to would fall into his spell. And for me, the ending just makes it and ties it up really well, again, as being a realistic film. It's not a glamorous fairy tale film. You can go find other films of that nature somewhere else, but this is not what Adua and her friends is. So what we have is a wonderfully acted, like I say, it's got a really good jazzy score, which sometimes the kind of upbeat nature of the music obviously juxtapositions the actual action that we're seeing on the screen. Everybody's fantastic in it, and again, it's another Italian director that I wasn't familiar with, and isn't one of the major directors, who again, sadly, like Elio Petri, who I've really loved his work that I've discovered. Unfortunately, Pietrangeli is another Italian director who died way too young at age 49. He did make 13 films, so I'm hopefully going to try and see if I can find other ones. He did one called Ghosts of Rome with Mastroianni, which sounds quite interesting, so I'm going to try and track that one down. But yeah, all in all, really good film. And again, I've accidentally ordered the Blu-ray already. So thanks very much for watching. Please let me know if you've seen Adua and Her Friends, or Adua and Company, and what you thought of it, or what other Pietrangeli films are available, and what you've seen, what you can recommend. And hopefully you'll join me again for more random reviews. This is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, saying farewell.